Hello, good evening. We are going to wait just another minute here to get started. We did have a couple of other students who are registered for tonight, so we just want to give them an opportunity to join the call. While we're waiting though, if you would like to introduce yourself in the chat box, you should be able to find that at the bottom of your screen if you're on your laptop. So if you want to let us know your hometown, year in school, and then academic or personal interests, we will just wait, as I said, just a minute or two longer just to give those other students a chance to get on the call. And again, so if you haven't used Zoom before, the chat box should be down at the bottom of your screen, or it might actually be at the top too. But then if you could just let us know hometown, year in school, academic or personal interests. And as you guys are entering that information in, I'll just go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Laura Mueller, and I am your admissions counselor from Simpson College. So I do work with students from Kansas and Western Missouri, and then also work with students from some counties in Iowa as well. And then joining us on the call tonight, we have Corey Torres. Corey, if you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself really quick while we wait to get started here.
Hi, my name's Corey Torres. I'm a junior here at Simpson College. I'm double majoring in political science and Spanish with a minor in Latin American studies. My hometown is Houston, Texas. So I'm a little ways from home here in Iowa. But yes, I'm also involved in, what am I involved in? Oh, I'm a student ambassador here on campus. I'm the UGA for World Languages, and I am in student government. I'm a junior class senator.
Thanks, Corey. All right, perfect. And thank you guys for introducing yourselves in the chat. I think we're going to go ahead and get started at 7:03. So we're just going to kind of get started here. And if other people join us late, we'll just go ahead and let them in when they join. So I am now going to try to move my PowerPoint, see if it works. There we go. So just our agenda for tonight, we're going to try to just keep this call to about 30 minutes to be respectful of your time. I'm going to start just to talk a little bit about the admissions process. So we'll talk through that with you guys. Then we're going to hear from Corey about her student perspective. And then we'll just have some time at the end for questions. So as I'm going through some of the admissions information, and while Corey is talking about, her Simpson experience, please feel free to type your questions in the chat box so that we can answer those questions at the end of our session. Also, since we have a smaller group tonight, at the end, if you'd like to just unmute yourself and ask your questions that way, you can certainly do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with admissions. I was just checking, sorry, to make sure we didn't have any other participants, but it looks like it's still just us. So let's start with just talking a little bit more about Simpson for those of you who may not be familiar with us. So Simpson is a small private school. We are located in Indianola, Iowa, which is just south of the capital of Des Moines. So really a great location because you are getting the best of both worlds at Simpson. You're located in a smaller town, so you really have that close-knit small town community feel. But then you are just about 15-20 minutes south of Des Moines. So still have all of the opportunities that Des Moines area has to offer you. So really kind of have that opportunity to have that small town feel, but then of course, great internship opportunities up in Des Moines, and of course, opportunities for fun things to do as well. Like I said, Simpson's a small school, so we only have about 1,200 full-time undergraduate students. We definitely see that as a big advantage though, because it means you're always going to have really small class sizes. So average class size at Simpson is probably around 20 students. Some of your classes can certainly be a little bit larger than that, especially if you're taking a class like Intro to Biology or another class that a lot of students have to take to graduate, maybe a little bit larger. And then, of course, on the flip side, you could have classes that are even smaller than that. So when you're getting into your junior, senior year, taking more upper level classes, maybe you only have 5 or 6 students in a classroom. So really can vary. Average class size, though, probably sitting around that 20. Student to faculty ratio, because of that, 12-1. So really going to get close, personalized attention from your professors, which is going to be very important regardless of what it is that you're interested in studying. We do have 80 different major, minor, and pre-professional programs. So even if you guys, come to Simpson thinking that you want to study maybe pre-med, or maybe you come in thinking you want to study English and then you change your mind, hopefully you'll still be able to find that major that you're interested in at Simpson, since we have so many different opportunities. And I kind of already touched a little bit on this, but we do have some really excellent internship opportunities at Simpson. Our career services team can certainly help you find those internships, whether it's in Indianola, in Des Moines, or even outside of Iowa. They can certainly help you find those internship opportunities. And then 100% of students do receive financial aid from Simpson. And we can kind of talk about that a little bit later if you guys do have some more specific questions about financial aid. But just know that all students receive a merit scholarship from Simpson, which is based off of high school GPA. And for students entering in fall 2020, that merit scholarship range was anywhere from $22,000 to $29,000, and that is per year. So that's just the first scholarship opportunity. There are additional stackable scholarships that you can apply for, which you can find the full list of those scholarships on our website if you are interested in applying for some of those. But like I said, if you have more financial aid questions, we can certainly cover that later in the session. So let's go ahead and move on here. And for those of you who just joined us, if you'd like to enter just like your name, hometown, academic interest in the chat box, just so that we know some more information about you, that'd be great. Okay, so what should I do next? So, of course, it's great to meet virtually like this, but we are back open for on-campus visits. So if you guys would like to come and visit Simpson for an on-campus tour, we can certainly get that set up. Or if you would like to schedule a visit so that we can do this one-on-one, so that you can talk with me, your admissions counselor, meet one-on-one with a professor, maybe you want to talk to a coach, we can certainly set that up for you, whether it's virtual or on campus. So that's something that you can certainly do after joining us for this virtual event tonight. Also, if you are a senior this year, just know that our application for fall 2021 is now available on our website at simpson.edu. So you could get online today and get that application completed. Or if you're planning on doing the Common App, we do accept that as well. So you kind of have two ways to apply there. And then you can certainly request your high school transcript from your counselor. They can either email that to me or mail it directly to Simpson, whatever is easiest for them. It does just need to come directly from your high school for us to consider that transcript as official. And then, of course, you can request a letter of recommendation from maybe a teacher, your high school counselor. It's not required, but is recommended to send in, just so that our admissions committee has a little bit more information about you, especially if you decide to apply test optional. So Simpson is a test optional school. So if you have a 3.0 GPA or above, and maybe you're either not happy with your test scores, or maybe if due to COVID, you haven't been able to take the ACT and you're not sure when you're going to be able to take it, you can choose to apply using our test optional track. And so for students who do apply test optional, we really are just getting in that high school transcript. So sometimes it is nice to have those additional materials, to have that letter of recommendation, or maybe if you wanted to send in a personal statement or an essay, that could be helpful as well for our admissions committee. And then you can certainly check out our fall events calendar on our website to see what events we'll be having. And I do have a list here, it should be on the next slide. These are all virtual events that we have coming up. So these are going to be kind of more specific academic events that you can join. So on the 8th, we'll have teacher education. We're doing psychology, theater. On the 16th, that's going to be just more of a general visit. So kind of similar to what we're doing tonight, where you'll hear from an admissions counselor, from a current student, and then I think we may have career services speaking as well for those general visits. So that's on the 16th if you're interested in joining. And then you see we have a couple more academic sessions in September as well. So if any of those majors are what you're interested in, you might want to join us for one of those events. Or if you just want some more general information about Simpson, then I would recommend joining that September virtual visit on the 16th. You can also certainly connect with us on social media. So here's just some of the information there. If you want to join us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you can certainly check out past videos that we've done on YouTube. And just for your information, we are recording this session tonight. So if you wanted to be able to go back and reference something that we talked about, you'd be able to find this on our YouTube channel. Okay, and so again, if you have questions about application process, financial aid, please feel free to enter those questions into the chat so that I can answer them at the end of the session. But for now, I'm going to turn things over to Corey so that she can talk to us a little bit more about her Simpson experience. Corey?
Hi, you guys. For those of you who have joined before my earlier introduction, my name is Corey Torres. I'm currently a junior here at Simpson. I'm from Houston, Texas, so I'm a little far away from home. But yes, so I actually did not know Simpson existed my junior year of high school. I got recruited my senior year to swim. And I was like, oh my gosh, Iowa? What's in Iowa? What does Iowa have to offer? As you know, any big city kid would probably think. Essentially what had happened is I came and I visited with the coach and I saw the small student to faculty ratio, which I think just got updated. I believe it's 12-1 right now. And I said, oh, wow, like that's nice and small and personable, because my graduating class in high school was 900 kids. So I was definitely considered a number. Like applying for colleges, all that mattered was like my number, my position, not who I was necessarily. And I knew if I came here to Simpson, I would be a name. I'd be able to have like outreach and input and like community guidelines and things that would occur in that regard. What was super awesome, I think, and what was my deciding factor to come here to Simpson, especially being from a big city, and like I applied to bigger schools like the University of Iowa in terms of Texas schools. Like I applied to Rice University, the University of Texas, Baylor University. If you guys are familiar with those schools, I don't know if they're Big Ten or not, but sports wise, is that I came here and the admission counselors, they like knew my name and my dad's name because my dad came on a visit with me, which was super cool because typically they're like, oh, hi, Miss Torres. Hi, Mr. Torres. But they knew my name and my dad's name, and they took us to get lunch. And then one of the students like took us to get Outside Scoop. And that's this local little ice cream, kind of like a shop. They have if you're familiar with food trucks, they have an ice cream truck so they can drive around and they can do that as well. And I was like, wow, if I would have gone to like a big school, no admission counselor would have taken the time to know who I was personally, or my dad for the matter, or even like had students like take or invite my dad and I to get ice cream off of campus, which was super cool. And I realized, because my goals are to become a lawyer, I knew that I would have a lot more opportunities here at Simpson to network and get internships and just like gain that community, I guess, that centric kind of thing that I need to be able to be successful. And it would be easier here for me to grasp onto those things than it would at a large school. And so, yeah, I also visited Simpson 4 times. Every season I visited. So I visited once in the summer, once in the fall, once in the spring, and then once in the winter. So I could see what it was like. And I was like, yeah, no, this place is home. And I promise when you get here, if you haven't already had a tour of campus, it is probably I'm probably biased, but I would definitely say Simpson is probably the most beautiful college campus I've ever been on, especially during the fall when all the colors and things are changing. I just think the community here is great. The opportunities are rabid. Like there's so many everywhere that you could potentially go into. And our majors, we have so many. But yeah, I just word vomited. I'm sorry, but that's a little bit about me.
No, that's okay. Could you tell us a little bit more about like your first year, or maybe just your first semester at Simpson? Was it a difficult like transition for you being so far away from home?
So I would definitely say my first year was a little difficult. Okay, not my first year. My first month. The first 4 weeks, I'm not going to sugarcoat, I did miss my family. Like, I'm 900 miles away from home. My security blanket was FaceTime. I would FaceTime my parents after every class, at meals, because I miss them so much. But I had a great support unit here. I was able to become like really close friends with my roommate and a couple of the girls that lived down the hall, and two of which who were from Iowa. So they were like, my family is your family. And that really helped a lot. I would say the jump from the courses from high school to college is not as scary as they make it seem. I know in high school, they're like, okay, take AP classes, take dual credit, take IB, if you're familiar with any of those three, to like better prepare yourself for college. And I had taken a few, but I didn't come in like some of those kids who already have 40 credits type of thing. And it wasn't that hard. I think what my biggest recommendation, and something that I had to learn the hard way, is time management. Because you like, as a freshman, you obtain this newfound freedom on campus because it's like the first step into adulting. So like, you eat on your own time. Your parents don't make your meals. You have to wake yourself up. You have to do your own laundry if you weren't doing that already. And you have to definitely time manage yourself at like your schoolwork and your social life and extracurriculars. And that was something that I definitely struggled with at first. But once you get kind of into a routine, it becomes a lot easier. I will have to say I did take an 8 a.m. my freshman year. And I remember in high school, class started at like 7:20. We got out at 2:40. I was good all day. I don't know what it is about college, but 8 a.m.s, they're early. They're very early. And when it's the Arctic tundra, which, you know, I didn't know that it got cold when I moved here. When it's the Arctic tundra, it's not necessarily the easiest to want to get up out of bed to go to your 8 a.m.s, but just like incentivize yourself. I definitely was like, if I go to my 8 a.m. every day for the next month, I'm going to treat myself to something at like, so La Casa, which is one of our local Mexican restaurants here in town. But yeah, I think just being out of state is a little hard, but you definitely get used to it. My recommendation is don't go home for the first month. Like, get your bearings, get used to things. Because if you go home the first month, it's kind of like having a binky when you're little, or like a pacifier. And if you like use it too much and then you kind of wean off of it and you go back, you're not going to be able to like be without it. And I'm using that as a analogy for like my family. And so I didn't see my family until October, my freshman year. And I think that definitely helped, because when it came time to me going home during fall break, I didn't have like that feeling to want to stay home. Like, yeah, I wanted to spend time with them, but I was like, no, I'm ready to go back. I want to go back. But yeah, that's, I guess, my advice and a little bit about my freshman year.
Thanks. One more question I'm going to ask before I kind of open things up for questions. Can you tell me just a little bit more about your major, and then maybe your favorite class that you've taken at Simpson?
Absolutely. So I'm currently double majoring in political science and Spanish with a minor in Latin American studies. Simpson did just open up a fifth year opportunity. So I think I'm going to go ahead and grasp onto that one. And I might get another major in criminal justice because, you know, why not? But yeah, so I'm doing Spanish and political science, and then Latin American studies is my minor. My poli-sci and Spanish, I already speak Spanish coming from home because I grew up in a Latin household. So that was one of my languages that I came here on campus with. But I'm going and studying those to become a lawyer, specifically a bilingual lawyer. And something that's super great in terms of having those majors, all three of the poli-sci professors here on campus have been to law school. So although they're professors now, they know the ins and outs of internships. They know the ins and outs of law school, LSAT, that kind of thing. And so they're super, super awesome. When you come in and when you declare your major, you're able to get an advisor. And typically it's an advisor within your area of study or specific major. And so my advisors are a Spanish professor and a political science professor. They have both, they email me job opportunities, intern opportunities, off-campus part-time things, which is super, super awesome. But yeah, And my Latin American studies, I just wanted to grasp a little bit more because I plan on helping lower income. I plan on doing a lot of pro bono work with what I want to do in terms of being in law school and becoming a lawyer. And so I wanted to just understand life, not necessarily here in the United States, but elsewhere that kind of like immigrate towards the United States and here, and what I can do to better help them. And so the classes and the majors and minors that I have are definitely aiding me for my future and my job.
Great. Thank you so much, Corey. And for those of you who are wondering, Corey is using her friend's laptop, so her name is not Lexi Parks, it is Corey Torres, but in case you were getting a little confused there.
I
Thank you so
accidentally
much.
booked myself tonight, so I'm on another Zoom meeting. That's why it's on my roommate's laptop.
Yes, we appreciate your time very much. So, okay, now is the time when I'm going to open it up for questions. So again, if you have questions about, the admissions process, if you have more questions for Corey that you'd like to ask, now is the time to do so. It doesn't look like we have anything in the chat so far. So either if you want to type something out now, or if you'd like to unmute yourself to ask any questions, do that now.
I had some questions about double majoring.
Sure.
Because I'm interested in like history and music, as in like vocal performance. When you apply, do you apply with a primary major and add a second one, like once you're already at school, or do you apply with both?
That's a great question, and Corey, I think, is going to be able to answer that for you.
Absolutely. So fun fact, when I applied to Simpson, I applied as pre-nursing. Not even my area of current study or my field of interest. At the time, I was like, let me go into the med field. So technically, when you apply, it's recommended more or less that you apply within regards to your area of study, and you can do a primary or a secondary. I wouldn't necessarily say that there is more so a primary or a secondary major, and like one doesn't have to be superior to the other in that sense. However, it doesn't really matter, because obviously when you get here, you can declare as soon as you get on campus, or you can wait, because a lot of students, when they come, they don't even apply with a major. They come in as undecided or undeclared, and that is absolutely okay as well, because you're required to take X amount of credits that are general education credits. So like a language, a theater, or arts, a science, a quantitative reasoning. And you might like come in thinking this is what I want my major to be in, an XYZ kind of thing. Or you'll take those general education and you'll decide, oh, I really like, no one likes calculus with physics, and you might change your major to that. So again, to circle back around to answer your question, it doesn't necessarily matter what major you put to apply with.
Exactly. Yeah. When you apply, you can certainly mark your area of interest. But as Corey said, most students are coming in undecided. And at Simpson, you really don't officially declare your major until sophomore year. So, I mean, you can declare earlier than that, but really it's not required until sophomore year. And that first year is really going to be an opportunity for you to either take some more of those general education courses or explore those two areas of interest that you have, take a couple of classes in both and really figure out, okay, this is what I want to do, and then make that official declaration in sophomore year. So you do really kind of have time to figure that out. And I do think when you apply, it'll ask area of interest, but you're certainly not saying, okay, once I mark this on my application, this is what I have to study for 4 years. There's certainly time for you to change your mind. So, great question. Any other questions that you guys have? And again, you can either put it in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, that works too.
In the chat, I see, what do you know about the music program?
Yeah, so a couple different things we can talk about with the music program. I'm not sure if you're interested like in vocal performance, if you're interested in like instrumental. There's certainly both of those opportunities. So we have an orchestra, there's a band. We do have a lot of students that come to Simpson for vocal performance. The Des Moines Metro Opera was actually founded by a Simpson professor, and they do have their rehearsals and have concerts in the summer at Simpson. So that's a really great opportunity for students who are involved in vocal performance to either intern or just really get that firsthand experience of this is what it's like to be a professional musician, working, with this professional opera company. So that certainly is a pretty big draw for Simpson. We do have a lot of students that come specifically for that program. But if you're wanting to kind of learn more, in depth about music, I would recommend, again, either coming to campus, or if you're, not comfortable coming to campus just due to COVID, we can certainly set up a virtual visit so that you can talk one-on-one with one of our music professors, and they can really get into like the classes that you'd be taking, where some of their current students are now, whether they're in grad school or, what they're doing, if they're teaching, or what jobs they were able to get after graduating from Simpson. So if you are interested in learning more, I would recommend setting up that individual visit. Of course, there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. You can either feel free to just send me an email. So my username here is just my email address. It's my first and last name at simpson.edu. So if you just want to reach out directly to me to set something up, you can. Or if you get on our website, there should be a visit tab at the top of the page, top of the home page. And you can go ahead and schedule a visit that way, where you can indicate the different departments you're interested in meeting with. If you are interested in meeting with a coach or anything else that we can set up for you. So hopefully that at least answered a little bit about your question, but again, a music professor would be able to go more in depth with you about the program. But good question. Any other questions that you guys have? Well, Corey, do you have any final words of wisdom, words of advice? Oh,
I was in the chat and I clicked the space bar to temporarily unmute myself, and it started putting spaces in the chat.
Oh no.
Just keep in mind that if you're coming from out of state, it's a jump, but it's not like a cannonball off of like the Empire, or like it's not huge. It's not a big jump. That was an awful reference. I apologize. It's just not, it's a little step, and it's a great way to just kind of become your own a little bit. Like I mentioned earlier, like it's the first step into adulthood. So you're doing these things that you didn't necessarily have to do. And again, technology is amazing. Like we are here with 5 of us with a computer. Like you can do those things. You can Zoom your family, hopefully, and use text messaging, phone calls. I promise you, if you are having troubles and you come to Simpson, email me. You can use my laptop to like FaceTime your parents or talk to them. Like I'm more than willing to help out. Know that there's a community here that's always more than willing to help you. Like obviously you're going to be a little hesitant as first years. Know that anybody you ask will have an answer to your questions. And I would say 9.9 times out of 10, everyone is more than willing to like take time out of their day to help you, whether it be with your majors, whether it be with like, hey, what should I eat today? Or like, what are the food options like on campus, to, hey, can you walk me to this class? I don't know where it is, to even, hey, I don't know how to use Zoom screen share. Can you show me? So just know that Simpson's like great with community, and everyone's really willing to help, and also roll storm.
Thanks, Corey. And if I had to offer any advice, it would just be have fun with the college search process. I know it can get overwhelming, but definitely try to have fun with it. And then certainly after you have visited, or either whether it's virtual or on campus, once you have visited all of the schools that you're interested in, I think second visits can be really important. So doing something like this today, I think, is a great start. But then if you've identified Simpson as a school that you'd want to learn more about, then that individual visit is a really good next step. And of course, apply to, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but our application is free to complete. So no application fee, only takes about 10 or 15 minutes to complete. So definitely go ahead and do that if you are interested in Simpson. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So I am your admissions counselor. So if you do ever have questions, whether it be about the application process, financial aid, or you just have a question about Simpson, don't hesitate to reach out. And I think that we are right at 7:30, so I will go ahead and sign off for tonight. But thank you guys all so much for joining us. I hope you have a great night.